Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Seth Chandler, and welcome to this episode of PCGS's Slab Lab. I'm really excited. We got a hardcore collector, which is some of my favorite type of guests to have on Slab Lab. We have Mr. Tony Littlejohn, who has the #1 set, the #1 PCGS Registry set of Stained Liberty quarters. Really excited to have you on, Tony.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Awesome, of course. You know, I've known you for like 5 or 6 years now,
Yes.
and it's inspiring and it's very admirable the way you've built your collection of Stained Liberty quarters. It's been a lot of fun, just kind of sitting on the sidelines watching you do it and watching you grow as a collector. But the point of Slab Lab is we want to know about you.
You want to know about me?
So why don't you just start from the beginning? Like, where are you from? How'd you get collecting coins when you were young? Tell us.
Okay. I grew up around Knoxville, Tennessee. That's where I was born. But my mother was a school teacher, and she taught in Appalachia, in Tazewell and Hancock County, out in the sticks.
That's hardcore.
And we're talking about chickens and hogs and outhouse and no hot water in the house.
Wow.
That was my age from birth through about 4 or 5 years old.
Okay,
So
let me
that's
get
where I
this
grew up.
straight. You grew up like you had to go to an outhouse to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Wow.
Or used the chamber pot in the bedroom at night.
Wow, that's hardcore. Wow.
So, I grew up around mules and chickens and horses and
cool.
turkeys and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, real America, yeah.
Yes. And so we moved back to the city when I was 5. And I lived in Knoxville all through the years until I grew up. But in the mid-'60s, I was 11 years old, and I heard on television, when we finally got a television, that the mint was going to stop minting silver coins. And so when I heard they're going to stop minting silver coins, the kid brain started working. Well, we need to save all the silver coins that we have.
Why? What was the first thing? Like, they're going to become rare? They're going to be worth more? Like, what were you thinking?
They're going to be rare. No
Gotcha.
one's going to have them.
Yeah.
Because I saw silver coins every day. I took a 50-cent piece to school every day, a Walking Liberty half. That was our lunch money.
Right.
Lunch cost 21 cents.
Yeah.
3 cents for extra milk. 10 cents for a bus ride.
Right.
That left me 15 cents a day to save,
Wow.
or buy candy bars or whatever I did with it. So when I couldn't convince my mother to save the silver coins, I said, well, I'll do it myself. So she had a club that had dues, and they paid their dues in cash, and she was the treasurer. So she had a tin box that had all their dues in it. She didn't put them in the bank, she had it in a tin box. And I looked in that box, and there was Franklin halves and Roosevelt dimes and Standing Liberty quarters and Buffalo nickels and all kinds of, all the coins of the day. We're talking 63, 64 time frame. So I would let my 15 cents add up to enough money where I could change for a silver coin.
Right. So were you looking at all those different coins and you're just like, wow.
I was looking at all the different coins, but I wasn't interested in the Franklins, and I wasn't interested in the Washington quarters. The Walking Liberty halves were my babies at the time. And I would find Standing Liberty quarters in there, but I could never find a Standing Liberty quarter with a date on it. And it was amazing. And I looked for maybe a year or so before the childhood fantasy, the infatuation with it blows over. And so I put all my coins in my silver dollars. I would babysit. My dad would pay me in silver dollars.
So this silver dollars were just, they were really around in the mid-1960s.
Silver dollars were
like
around in
Morgan
the
and
60s.
peace dollars were around, huh? Yeah.
I went, because I had a little interest in coins, I said, well, I will go downtown to the movies, and there was a coin shop downtown. I said, I'll go downtown to the coin shop. So I went downtown to the coin shop, and I talked to the broker there, and he said he had silver dollars. And I said, well, how much is that silver dollar? He said, it's $1.25. And I lost interest in coin shops for 20 years. I said, why would I pay $1.25 for a silver dollar when I can go to Dawn Brothers Food Market and get them out of his his register for $1?
Right.
And so I never went back to a coin shop.
So this is the 60s. You're like, I hate communists, and now I hate coin dealers.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
this is I've got my mind saying,
Right.
this is a ripoff.
Right.
But I saw a standing Liberty quarter with a date on it. But if a silver dollar was $1.25, I knew I was going to put more than 25 cents for a quarter. So I left, and I began to read up on coins. I was always curious. So the Red Book was out, but I couldn't afford one. So I went to my favorite place, the library, and check out a Red Book. So I would spend the summers back in the country with my grandparents, grandmother and grandfather. And I would take all the books up to my limit from the library on the day before I left and bring them to the country. And that's what I would do in my spare time, is read through all these books.
Right.
And then when the books were due, usually I would have an aunt or somebody come to visit, and they'd come, and I said, take these books back. Or I would tell her to go renew them, and even have to take the books back, so I could keep the books for 3 renewals, so I could keep them 6 weeks.
Wow.
And so that's when I went to the Red Book, and I saw all kinds of coins.
So you were like, the numismatic bug is bitten.
The
and you had a
numismatic bug
plan.
has bitten.
You were like, okay, I got to get the Red Books out. I got to go return to the library, check them back out again. You were like, I want information.
I was trying to understand what the coins that I had put aside was worth. And the only way I knew how to do that was the Red Book. I did see the Red Book at the coin shop, but I couldn't buy one. They were like, $3 or $4 or whatever it was at that time. And so, but the library had everything. That was my baby, was the library. I checked everything out of the library.
Yeah, that's cool. And we got to thank Andrew Carnegie for that. Right?
I'd say so. So then, went through high school, put all my coins in a little tin box and put it up in my closet.
Just
on my
like your
shelf.
grandmother, yeah. You
put it up in the closet on my shelf. And I went through high school. I went to the University of Tennessee in college, got a degree in biochemistry and chemical engineering, went to work for Exxon in 79 time frame, and worked with them, got married, had children, was interested in working with youth. So I took a group of youth on a camping trip to Colorado. And when we got to Colorado, I said, we're close to Denver. Why don't we take a day trip to the Mint?
Okay.
So we took a day trip to the Mint.
And how old are you this time?
I'm 32.
Okay.
I'm 32. Still haven't been back in a coin shop.
Okay. And you have been away from coins for
I've been
10
away
plus
from
years.
and my coins are still in
the
still
tin
in my
box.
mother's house in the tin box.
Okay.
Wasn't even thinking about coins when I went there. I just said that's a good day
Sure.
trip for our youth group. So we went there, went through the Mint. You come out of the Mint at the end, and they take you through their store. And I saw what I'd never seen before: proof sets. I remembered back to the Red Book that there were proof coins, but I'd never seen one. And so now I've got proof sets. I said, well, it would be neat to get a proof set for my 2 daughters at that time in their birth year. But because the Mint only sold the sets in the year that you're in, they didn't have them.
That's right. Yeah.
So the Mint sent me to the coin shop.
Yeah, you're like, now I got to go back to the coin shop.
You got to go back to the coin shop. So, okay, I'm living in West Texas at this time. I'm working with ExxonMobil, oil field engineer. And I go back to West Texas, go downtown to Tejas Coin Shop, meet the proprietor there, Richard, and walk in, introduce myself. I said, look, I'm looking for a Mint set from 1981 and 1983, my 2 daughters' birth years. Oh, yeah, we've got those. So he pulls them off the shelf, and how much are they? And okay, and I pay for them. And I'm looking around at all these coins and stuff in his shop. And I'm saying, man, and he says, are you a coin collector? I said, no, I'm just buying these for my girls. I said, but I used to have a group of coins that I collected as a kid.
Yeah.
And he said, well, why don't you start collecting again? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really interested in putting the pennies in the book because I've seen guys do that, and that never really interested me. But he pulls out a book, the likes of which I've never seen. It was a Dansko album with a typeset in it. It's a typeset. What is a typeset? He said it's one of every coin, of every type of coin, back to the late 1700s, early 1800s. I said, man, that'd be a fascinating thing to do.
It's a great way to get started.
That'd be a great thing to do.
Sure.
So I buy the Dansko album, and I buy a few coins from him. And then I go to, well, are there any more coin shops? I see what these other guys are saying. There was another coin shop that had just opened up, Village Coin Shop. It's still there in Midland. And the Vault, which was a coin shop in the neighboring town, Odessa. These towns are 20 miles apart and 30 miles apart in West Texas. So I began to visit the coin shops and start buying a few coins here and there. And I said, now I can buy a standing Liberty quarter with a date on it to go in my book. But I don't want to. I'm pulling stuff out of their silver because silver's 4 times face at the time.
Right.
And I'm buying out of those boxes.
You're familiar with it, yeah.
Yeah. and so I start putting them in. But when I get to the quarters, I've got a quarter out of the box and it's got a date on it. And then I decide I'm going to update this book. And I haven't finished it, but in the middle of doing it, I said I can put an uncirculated coin in some of these because they're not that expensive. Dime is $3, a Mercury dime, and so I start updating that book, and I run out of coins there at the shops. I hear about an auction.
Okay, so now you're getting a little more advanced.
Yep, not a coin auction, an antique auction.
Okay.
In Odessa, Texas, and I asked Bob Stone, who was the owner of the vault. I said, Bob, I hear Skeen's having an antique auction over here, and he's advertising coins. Is that a good place to buy coins? And he says, no, Tony, that's not a good place. I said, why not? He said, you're going to find that the prices are 2 or 3 times more than you could buy them here. And I take it with a grain of salt. I said, well, let's see. So I go over there, I preview the lots, and I've got a gray sheet by this time, and I start writing down what I would pay for these coins. So sure enough, we go through Skeen's auction, and the coins are selling for 3 or 4 times the gray sheet. So I go back to the coin shop the next week, talk to Bob. He said, did you go to the auction? I said, yeah. He said, was it like it? I told you? I said, exactly. I said, but Bob, why don't you put coins in the auction? You can make 4 times what you make here on them. Oh, no, I don't want to fool with that. I said, well, I can buy coins from you and put them in the auction. He said, yeah, I guess you could do that. I said, I'm going to try that. So next time Skeen has an auction, I buy $30, $40 worth of coins. I put them in the auction. He takes his 25% off the top, and I come back with $150.
Wow.
And I'm like,
so now you're a coin dealer all of a sudden. You're like,
I'm like, this is amazing.
Right, yeah.
So I go back to Midland, and I open the newspaper. I said, well, I wonder in your other auction. Okay, Grady Morris in Colorado City is having an auction, an antique auction. Let me call him. I call Grady, and I say, Grady, this is Tony Littlejohn. I live in Midland, and I've got a group of coins I'd like to sell. He said, okay, bring them on down. He said, we do pretty well. He said, I think you'll do pretty well. I said, okay. So I take $150 worth of coins to Grady's auction, and after he takes his 25% off, he writes me a check for $750. I said, man, this is outstanding. So I continue to do that with Grady and Joe, and I go to the newsstand and start buying newspapers from other cities. And so within about 18 months, I'm sending coins to like 100 different auctions.
Wow.
And now I've outgrown the coin shops. I'm selling more coins than they are. And so I said, I need to go to a coin show. So I start going to the coin shows. And I'm buying all low-grade stuff. So I'll come to Long Beach, and I'll come with an empty case and fill up the whole case to almost you can't even put it on the
What year
shelf
was
in the
this?
airplane.
What year?
This is like 86. This is within a year of when I took my kids to the Mint.
Okay.
This is like 86, 87.
Okay.
And they start telling me about this new company that's grading coins. And when I start going to the coin shows, especially like Long Beach, the big shows, the A&A table is there. And I've already bought the grading books, so I'm trying to teach myself how to grade, and I'm going by the books and Bloom. I said, well, let me test my skills at the A&A table. So to go into every show, I probably spent 2, 3, 4, 5 hours at the A&A table with them seeing if they agreed with the grade I put on it.
That's key. I mean, you identified people and
Yep,
resources
yep.
to learn. Yeah, that's great.
And they know me. When they see me come by, hi, Tony, how you doing? I say, hey,
yeah.
I've got some coins. I'll bring them by later and see if you take a look at them. So I'm sharpening my grading skills, but not enough to get into the uncirculated coins, really, other than the cheap ones. So then I finally decide I'm going to buy uncirculated Standing Liberty quarter. So I go through the show, and I find a dealer. I see a quarter, a 1930S Standing Liberty quarter, and I buy it $85. And I take it back to the A&A table, and they said, yeah, this is a good buy. This is what we think it'll grade. I said, okay, now you're agreeing with me. And in those days, it was BU, Choice BU, Gem BU.
And then sometimes Superb
and
Gem,
sometimes
right?
Superb Gem.
Yeah.
And
people need to realize that, like before PCGS came out, really, when you look at an uncirculated coin, it would either be just BU, which is the equivalent of MS60, Choice BU, MS63, and then Gem BU is MS65, or sometimes even better. Sometimes you'd hear Superb Gem.
Yeah.
Those just 3 uncirculated grades.
That's right.
Versus 11 today.
Probably 90% of the grades were just those 3, of uncirculated were those 3. And so I've kind of got this coin close to the BU price, but it's more of a Choice to Gem BU coin. And I'm happy and I'm satisfied. And then once I buy that coin, I buy Buffalo nickel same way, and buy a nice BU graded coin. And I put it in my set. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to expand the typeset. And I'm going to focus on the Standing Liberty quarter in uncirculated condition, if I can find them. And I'm going to do a Buffalo nickel set. And then I'm going to do a Barber half set in fine or better.
That's quite a challenge to do 3 sets.
Yeah, so I've got these 3 things because I'm looking through all these coins at the shows anyway, and I'm just making what to me at the time was buckets of free money at these auctions, and so the money's coming in, so I can't. I'm buying myself out of the show. So if I got all this money left when I leave the show, so I'm buying. If I can buy one nice coin a show, I'm happy. And that goes on for about 6 months to a year. I said, I better test myself before I get in too deep in this. So I take my Standing Liberty quarter, and I take it over to a dealer's table, Mr. Jay Klein. We've met and we've talked about coins, and I know he's a Standing Liberty quarter guy. I said, Jay,
he's the Standing Liberty quarter
I've got
guy,
a quarter I want to sell. He said, what you got, Tony? I said, I've got a Standing Liberty quarter. Can you take a look at it? Well, what do you want for it? She goes, I don't know. What's it worth? And I paid $85. He said, oh, it's probably worth $125 to $150. I said, Jay, I think that quarter's better than that. He said, well, I don't know, Tony. You know, it's the kind of choice that's BU-ish. And I said, okay, I'll come back if I decide to sell it. And so I take the quarter and I put it in the Buffalo nickel. Those are the 2 nice uncirculated coins I have. And I'm going to these different shows. So next show I go to is in Georgia. I think I was in Long Beach at that one. Next show is in Georgia. And I go to the show and I got my 2 coins with me. I said, man, I've never really sold coins at a show. Jay's the only guy I know well enough on the uncirculated side to offer a coin, and I know he does quarters, so I didn't even show him the Buffalo nickel. I said, with these guys here, I've got to expand. I've got to try this. So.
And you still got your day job, by the way.
I'm still working a full-time job.
So you're like doing a lot of effort. You're going all in with coins as much as you can.
I've got a full-time job going and 2 kids at home.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to 25, 30 coin shows a year.
Are you serious? That's a lot.
But I'm kind of like that.
Yeah.
When I get into something, I'm all in.
All right.
So I go to this show, and I said, I'm going to show these 2 coins. I go to a dealer. I said, I got a couple of coins. I said, yeah, what do you got, sir? I've got a Standing Liberty quarter and a Buffalo nickel. Can you tell me what they're worth to you? And I sell the 2 coins that I had paid $85, and I think I paid $75 for the Buffalo nickel. That's $160. And he gives me a check for $550. Wow. I said, that's close to what I thought. I said, so it gets in my mind, all I've got to do to make my expenses for a show is find 1 coin, and everything else is gravy. And so that's what I did. I began my set just if I could find one good coin a show.
Yeah.
So I start to build this set.